Hi, good evening, and welcome to this special episode of Toastmasters Unplugged, which is all about our conference team and what is going on backstage as they're leading up to the big reveal on May 9th to May 11th. So I'm joined with a great crew, and I'm going to invite them up for you to meet them. So first of all is our conference director, who is Tanya. Tanya, good evening and welcome.
Evening, Olga. How you doing?
We have Mish, who is also the co-lead on the conference team. Mish, welcome.
Hi, Olga. How are you doing as well?
I am good. We have Sam, who is one of the speakers at the conference. So she's going to tell us all about her event. And finally, we have contest chair extraordinaire is Liz Welsh. So you're very welcome, ladies, tonight. And I am going to start tonight with a quick fire round. Now, a quick fire round is very hard for a Toastmaster to do. So it's kind of either yes, no, or if it involves a sentence, make it a short one. So Tanya, I'm going to start with you. Most memorable conference memory?
Very first conference, dressing up as Robin Hood with Mish.
That's intriguing. Mish, is the same one or is it different?
Different. Norwich, they had a wonderful 1920s singing band on the stage. It was just wonderful.
Fabulous. Liz, favourite memory?
Oh, flying into Dublin to go to a conference, just landing in that beautiful city was awesome.
My hometown, loving it. And finally, Sam, your favourite conference memory?
I think it was the first conference I went to at Nottingham. I had elected to be the mystery speaker for the evaluation contest and received 8 evaluations, which was quite a lot. Yeah, that was my biggest, most enduring memory.
Oh, interesting. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Sam, one of our guests, she is going to interview our co-chairs, which are Mish and Barrett. And Liz and myself are going to take ourselves back to the green room and join you shortly. So we're whipping ourselves off here.
Hi.
Hello there. Well, so lovely to see you. First, tell me, I'll indicate who, just so that we don't get messed up. So let's start with Tanya, and I'm just going to ask. So Tanya, can you tell us all how long you've been planning this conference? Tell us about that.
So you're actually involved in this story a little bit. So our very first conference, Nottingham, I think it was 2015. They had the Future Conferences meeting, and I never seen a conference. I sat in there, got inspired. Michael Collins was like, "You should run a conference." I was like, "Fantastic," and Mish said no. Next year happens, and then you were in that Future Conferences, and you're like, "Yeah, we should do a conference," and then Mish said no. You have a full-time job, you have a dog, you do not have the time with all the other things you do, and it was the right call at the time. Then when we got to Norwich it was the pre-COVID one, so it would have been 2019. When me and Mish go to conferences, especially in England, we have, say, a 5-hour drive home. And I managed to get the yes. And we kind of pretty much planned a lot of that in. And we were supposed to have a conference in 2021, but then COVID happened. And we weren't going to do another conference. But then we went to Liverpool, the first in-person conference, and got inspired. And I think we signed up on the Saturday saying, yeah, we're going to do this. Like, please let us do it. And here we are. So about 10 years from my side.
Fantastic. And Mish, what were your reservations earlier? How did you change your mind?
We hadn't been Toastmaster very long, probably a year and a half each. So we didn't actually know anything about Toastmaster infrastructure or what it really involved. So we had a really good weekend, but you can't just do a lovely weekend with not knowing any of the background. Tanya was just starting a new job. I was quite busy, and it was just a massive, massive undertaking. So my first instinct in life is, no, let's think about this. And yeah, it's got me through life so far. And then, was it Red, Tanya?
He's involved in this somewhere, yeah. He talked to you at Norwich.
Let's do it. And the last conference, it said, "You still hate me for talking her into it?" I said, "No, not anymore, I don't." But it was a joint thing. Everyone was saying, do it. The infectious infection that Tanya had was so obvious that I had no choice, really.
And you were right to say no the first 5 years. I think being in Toastmasters, maybe a little area contest were a good step at that stage.
Yes.
What's the term? Walk before you can run, or something like that. Yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
For sure. Now, it takes more than just two people to put on a conference. Can you tell us about the team that you've assembled? How easy was it to pull together? Were there keen volunteers? Tell us more about that process. Tanya, would you start that?
Yep. So myself and Mish, our conference directors, we are doing the lunk of some of it, to be honest. We've gone with a not too many cooks in the kitchen. And to be honest, me and Mish speak like, God, I think it must be 3 or 4 hours a day. Pre-conference, we speak at least an hour or two every day. And when there's two people who know each other inside out, you can make very informed decisions knowing that what history they've had in the past. And that has been really good. We do have Jamie Wilkes, who is a member of Birmingham New Street Speakers. He is our PR manager at the moment. So he's our PR manager. There's no at the moment there. And we have quite a good range of people who'll be supporting throughout the weekend. And that's the hands-on where you need registration desk, you need runners. There's a lot of different roles to fill. And to be honest, it's come from people saying we want to be involved. That part's been quite simple. People want to be involved.
Fantastic.
We got fantastic support from Mairead and Danny above.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And without that, we wouldn't have had the support we needed, and we wouldn't have known where to go. They've been fantastic.
Oh, brilliant. Support from all areas. That's excellent to hear. And so I'm going to ask you next about the organisation, the planning of even just the agenda, what goes where, when you're going to do it, who's going to do it, who was the lead on that one?
Norwich.
Pardon?
Norwich.
Norwich was the lead.
We actually were in the car for 5 hours and we planned out nearly all of the conference. This is a great idea. That's a great idea. And that's what we did for about 5 hours on the way home from Norwich. And then it just blossomed. So it's not about who does what, it's about what has to be done first.
Right.
And then we assign people later. Do you agree with that, Tanya?
Yeah, so one of the best things about me and Mish are we're actually the exact opposite of each other. It doesn't normally seem like that would work, but the things which so project planning, I'm the project manager by day. It's bread and butter, quickly pull up a Gantt chart, sit the tasks in, schedule it all. That's really, I sadly enjoy doing it. I literally do it as a hobby. Whereas for Mish, no, that's not her forte. It's not where she enjoys spending her time. Whereas, to be honest, mostly in-person stuff, the softer skills, they're not my area of expertise, but that is where Mish really shines. So we're coming into the area now where there's a lot of tasks to do, but they split very naturally into, well, that's easy for me to do, well, that's easy for me to do, and it complements each other really well. And we practiced it at mostly COTS, area contests, division contests. We've done a lot of them, and we've honed in our ways of talking quite well.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Toastmasters really does prepare you for other things, both inside and outside of Toastmasters. I myself putting on a TEDx event, well, that's just like putting on a Toastmasters event. So, it's a no-brainer. It's like, well, this is actually quite easy. I've done this before. So I think definitely.
One of the best stories I have about that is I got married a couple of years ago, and we went to a wedding fair, and I actually went with my mom, my mother-in-law, what was to be my mother-in-law, and my best friend, who was a maid of honor. And we get there's lots of people, and there's certain questions. I had a very long list of questions. I like to be prepared, you know this. And we come into the main.
She actually measured the aisle for how many steps you'd need to take.
You have to time these things. So we got into the main area and we started in Toastmasters mode. We're like, okay, front there, they can walk in, flow, tea, coffee, signage, this, that. And my mother-in-law and my maid of honor were just like, that wasn't sentences. What are you guys talking about? And we knew exactly. In about 2 minutes, we had the whole room planned out because we've had to do it many a time. And that's what we'll be doing on the conference day, probably quite a bit. Very planned and lots of in the background.
We know the venue very well because Tanya had her first job there. My son had his first job there. I can walk it from my house. So we know the venue really, really well.
Aria does her swimming lessons there. Chris worked there. We've pretty much been at that venue every year for some reason for 20 years now, actually.
And it is a lovely venue. I've been there myself. Well done for choosing that one. I think it's a great venue for that. I visited it when I went there for the Professional Speakers Association. So the very fact that they chose it is always a good sign that it's a good one. And there's parking on site and all of those good things for people. Now, I know we haven't done it yet. It's yet to come. But if you were going to give any advice to the next team of people who want to put on a conference for Toastmasters, what advice would you give them so far? Your lessons learned just at this point, before you've even delivered it. Mish, why don't you start that?
Basically, talk to people who've done conferences before and get their feedback and inputs. Make sure you've been to a conference yourself, because you need to know what actually happens, and do not turn down any information you might be offered, and just see it, get an angle. Think, this is what I want to see on this weekend. This is how I want it to look. And if you know how you want it to look, that's half the battle. So myself and Tanya got quite a low-key, relaxed, friendly conference. We've seen other ones that are more formal, which are fantastic as well. But find out what you want from it, and do not turn down any advice ever.
I love that. That's really good. Sage advice there. Well done. So, in terms of putting on a conference, you mentioned that you speak pretty much each day for quite a while. And I know that you are sort of a team of two with a few extra people helping out. If someone was concerned that it's going to consume their life to put a conference on, how could you appease their worries about that?
It will.
Yeah, that'd be my advice. It will. I'm trying to find a diplomatic way around it. I think there's two ways. To me, there's two main things that come from the workload. You've got the actual work, so somebody doing PR, somebody choosing a menu, all of these tasks, and then you've got the tasks around getting the approval. So, for example, making an agenda is really simple. You go in Excel, you put a bunch of boxes and say, these 3 half-an-hour slots are for a contest, and this hour here is for an agenda. It takes, I mean, Mish actually literally keeps all of the paper programs from every conference. So we had a lot to go from, but it's not that hard to actually put an agenda together. We've all done it for Cots and Dots and stuff like that. Getting all of the right people, say 10, 15 people to agree on it, that is the part that takes so much longer. And that's why we've quite liked our small team, because we can jump on Zoom, like literally, actually, I think we were supposed to meet last night. We would have jumped on Zoom anyway and said, let's go for your agenda, go through it. 20 minutes later, you're done. Organising the times to have a meeting with somebody and a meeting with somebody else, that is where I find a lot of the hours went to. And it's completely legit. These people do need to have sign off and input into it. And that's where I'd keep the teams, like try and, as I said, not have too many cooks in the kitchen, segregate into small teams that can make quick decisions.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And how will you know that the conference has been a success, Mish?
Because we're not crying. We won't know. We'll never know until we get feedback. I mean, as long as people are fed, educated, contests happen, that is what really matters. The rest of it is just fluff, and it's lovely to have. But the most important part is the conference gets the job done. But we'll get feedback, hopefully. I always try and give feedback to previous conferences, because it's the feeling you have as you walk away. Now, we won't know because we're walking away with too much baggage, but other people hopefully will give us feedback about how they felt about it. And as long as they're smiling, that's all we really care about.
Absolutely. I hope everyone's booked a day off afterwards to recover.
Yeah, I would like to add one point to what Mish said, and this is a project manager coming out of me. We'll know it's successful because we paid off all of our bills because we'll have sold enough tickets. That is probably what consumes us most at the moment. People want to come to a conference, that's great, and we need to provide to them the why should you book it tonight? Why not? What's wrong with waiting a week? Besides just us having a heart attack from looking at the numbers, we want as many people there, and those tickets just bought early, because obviously you have to pay people in advance.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it's very different to Ireland. So,
what's maximum capacity for our conference?
Easy. So the room itself, the room can hold, with a stage and round tables, it can hold like 500 people for a dinner setting. The room can be split into much smaller rooms. So we've got a lot, and again, that's actually making it quite hard to plan the room agendas, because we've got so much flexibility at the venue. We can stick 10 people in this room, we can stick 100 there, 200 there, change the tables round. So once we've got some closer final numbers, like it's getting there, then we can say where we're going to put tables and chairs.
So realistically, we're talking about maybe up to 200 banquet style, and probably about 200 to 300 on the contests, without it being feeling too empty.
Wow, brilliant. That
We're going
sounds
to have
like a
500
very
people
reasonable number.
and they've got
For
enough chairs.
sure. Have you got any advice for any new attendees who've never been to a conference before? How can they get the best out of your conference?
Do you want to mention new street speakers, Tanya?
You go for it.
So we've got a bit of a spare agenda in our online only, spare cash in our online only club. So we're saying that we only got 15 members who haven't, who are ever local. We're buying them all a one-day ticket on the basis that they can get to see the networking, they can get to see what the camaraderie is like, what the outside Toastmaster feeling is. I mean, we've known Sam for so many years, and we're really, really friendly and comfortable with her often because of the conference, isn't it, Sam? And so, yeah, it's absorb as much as you can because it will make you a Toastmaster for the rest of your life. You can't get away with it.
And I think the side that I've seen over years is obviously we've seen many types of members in the different committee roles that we've taken. There are lots of people majority of people just go to meetings, and that's fine. That's what they signed up for. It's what they want to do. They might dabble, maybe go to an area contest every now and again. I see people who go to conference and maybe it's taken them 4 years to do 4 speeches. You go to the next club meeting and suddenly they want to do speeches. They want to be an area contest. And like a couple of years later, they're an area director because that they have been inspired. And I know you're laughing because you've seen the same, but I've seen people go back to a contest after 3 months about a conference. And suddenly a year later, you're hearing that they've completed levels 2 or 3 because they just had that inspiration that you can buy it because you can literally come to a conference and buy it, but that inspiration that I think it's about outer club moments.
Yeah, I think it really opens people's minds, doesn't it? Because our clubs are very not siloed, but they are a little box that we go to a couple of times a month, and we see our chums that we've built a rapport with. And I certainly from my perspective, going to conferences, it's an extension of that feeling of this is a safe space to go. It's not that dread of I'm going to network with a bunch of strangers, because we've automatically got something in common. We're all Toastmasters. So there's no, how shall I start a conversation? It's what club are you in? Straight in,
It's fair. I think I found the most out about myself. Some of the conversations that me and you have had at, I think, midnight, to be honest, they've actually really changed my life, to be honest, for things that I've learned about myself, for ways that I've worked in committees. I mean, I love being VP. That's great. Even then, it can be a bit of a siloed role, but I didn't even know about division directors when I first joined, but realignment committees, district leadership committees, there was this whole world, which I was like, one, that suits my work. Like, I need to know how to do these management meetings, because the district council meeting can seem very foreign the first time you see it. And it just opened up a world that I knew existed and I didn't know how to get into it. And suddenly it was here every year for me to practice on.
Another thing I would say is that Tanya and I have always got something to go with, which is really nice to have. Not everybody has that luxury. And I've seen people go to conferences by themselves and they're immediately grabbed into a group. Come on, you're on your own, come with us. And they feel included. And that's really important because, as you say, they've got a common goal, got a common interest, but they suddenly feel that they're part of a whole world, not just a whole club. And that, I think, was one of the strengths of the conferences and anything outside club.
Yeah, and I think the blend of there's fun and there's quiet spaces, there's really anything that you want, because I think some people were really scared it's going to be that forced fun for 3 days, which is just knackering. Whereas that's not been my experience. There are fun things you can go to if you want to, like the dressing up for the school night. You can go in your school togs. You might need to upgrade a little if you're not the same size as you were when you were 15. Borrow someone's shirt and a tie. But certainly, even if you do go to that event, you don't have to dress up. It's not mandatory. And you can just hang out in the bar and chat to people if that's more your vibe, your
and there are, I think one of the things I found as well is me, Mish, and yourself, we are very experienced members. We've done a lot in our local area. You kind of get known, especially at area contests. And I remember going, and when you chat to, I'm not going to name drop individual people, but you chat to them and you're like, yeah, I've been doing this for 30 years, started 5 clubs, done this 10 times. And you're like, whoa, like this is a next level Toastmaster, like the things that they know, which I just found absolutely amazing. And they've been there, they've done it since before you were even born sometimes. And you will see that they probably don't go to most of the workshops. Sometimes they don't even go to the contests. You see little huddles of people, and again, they still let you in. So you don't have to say, there's a workshop, I have to go, else I'm missing out. There is networking, there's just general friendship. I've missed workshops because I'm hungover and I've just stayed in bed for an extra hour or two. I'm sure I'm not the first person at conference to have done that. And that's okay. You're just getting out of experience what you need. And in that hour, you need sleep.
I always think breakfast is a leveler. Because some people go to the crack. Do you know the crack?
I was just going to say the crack is really weeds out the the people who can cope with 1 hour sleep and the people who can't.
And those who can't are bright and cheerful in the morning. You think, oh, shut up! I've got a headache. It's the whole social strata I love so much is that everyone's different and we've all got our own level of enjoying conferences. I'm not going to the crack this time because I'm getting too old, but it's going to be back on, and it's just about I'll go to bed earlier, other people won't. And then breakfast, it's like, I think breakfast is the most important thing because it's quite a bonding meal for anything.
I was going to say, there's a real deep connection that's made with people in those circumstances.
I think so, yeah.
Definitely. And of course, in the gala dinner, we all get to dress up.
Yes.
Because we don't get to do that very often, right? So to go full black tie, if you want to.
Yeah, we went force. No, I actually had this when I was 2009, so I was 19 years old. Do not question the thought process. It made sense in a teenage mind. But I really wanted to go to like dress up in a ball gown, and there was nowhere to go to. At the time, it seemed easier. If I host a charity ball and organise it all myself, I get to wear a nice... I don't know why I didn't just buy a ticket to somebody else's. But that actually did fuel years of doing charity work. I really enjoyed the process. Because you really don't get... Even if like you go up in our local... We call it Board Street, the local nightclub band. People are wearing like joggers. It's not the same as when I was a teenager. And I love dressing up, to be honest. Like proper hair and makeup, which I never normally bother trying to do. But just going back to one of the previous ones, does somebody want to explain what the crack is for any viewers, English or Irish, who have never heard of it because it made no sense the first time I heard it?
Yeah, Mish, would you like to spell it and describe it?
The CRAIC. It's I'm not sure the exact meaning, but I think it just means fun, and it starts about when I think finishes. You start it singing, dancing, poetry, monologues, and it's just about showing your skills and enjoying them together and enjoying it as a whole. So yeah, it's great fun.
It is definitely,
and there'll be a guitar.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yes, if you play a musical instrument, bring it with you. You'll regret it if you don't. I mean, maybe if it's gigantic or maybe not a trumpet. But if you're a ukulele fan or a guitarist or something like that, or some bongos, then do bring them along because there's usually some form of musical activity going on, a jamming session, if you will, with some Irish jigs, songs, ditties, fanties, all sorts of lovely stuff. Brilliant. Okay, well, I think unless you want to add anything that I haven't covered, this might be a nice time to move to talk about contests. And I'm just going to ask Olga, do we have Liz so we can talk about the contests?
I think just before we do that, if we just look at a couple of the comments that have been coming up on the live stream as we're going through. So somebody, so Syed from Pakistan. Wow, we've really got international tonight. They've asked a little bit about the Toastmasters agenda that will be going on. So this is a 3-day conference and we'll be having 4 of the district final contests in there. So Friday, we'll host our evaluation contest. Saturday, we'll host our keynote speech, which will actually be Francesco Fidele, who is the International Director of Region 10. For us, that is Europe. And then we'll also be having the international speech contest. And this is the big one because these people do go on to perform at the international level. And then on Sunday, we'll be having our humorous speech contest and table topics contest, which I know not all districts and conferences cover. That's a tradition in D71. We do also have workshops spread out throughout, which we'll be asking Sam questions about later. But there's 3 workshops on Friday, 3 on Saturday and 1 on Sunday morning. And just in case it wasn't enough, we also have the district council meeting, which if you've never been to it, is a bit like an AGM meeting for District 71. We go through a lot of formalities, motions, voting in next year's committee. You do have voting rights if you're, I think, a president and VPE, I want to say, but the district will be contacting you if you have voting rights. But it's open to absolutely anybody. And this was one of my most favourite parts of a conference because it really is a world I just couldn't get to see anywhere else. And now that part of it on Zoom, it's a lot shorter as well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, both of you. I'm gonna pop you back into the green room if that's all right. And I'm gonna ask Olga, would you like to come forward to interview Liz, or would you like me to continue?
I'd be delighted. I'll give you a break, Sam.
Oh, lovely.
So I'll
Thank you so much.
send you off to the green room and we'll invite you back in a few minutes to interview you. So have a fun in the back. Hi, Liz. How are you?
I'm good, Olga. Very good, thank you.
Good. There's a bit of feedback there.
Oh,
Oh, no. Wait, we will proceed. So, Liz, tell me, you are in charge of contests. So explain to the listeners, we might have a few non-Toastmasters, exactly what the contests are and what your role is.
well, I suppose in a broad way, the contests are an absolutely amazing way for people to improve their confidence in speaking and communication. And you start off at the club level with all contests, and winners then would go on to your area. They're winners from area to the division and then up to the district level. And of course, our main international speech contest through to region and the international stage for public speaking. So it's a way to try and build that skill in your club, and anyone can, apart from the international speech contest, which of course you have to be a pathway level 2, anyone can go in them, the humorous, the topics and the evaluation contest. And I think especially the evaluation, to be evaluated by, I don't know, just say 6 or 7 people, amazing. And don't be afraid, take it all on board and learn and go forward. What my role is a fairly new role, really. It's a non-elected role from the district. And basically, I'm part of the team with the chief judges, Bob Ferguson and Peter Keary. So Macaulay, sorry, Peter, where we are here to help people and guide them and answer questions around the contests and attend contests as well. And if we're around and able to, and give advice. So it's really a sounding board. We have an email that people can send into and ask questions, or message us on WhatsApp, or go through the district, and we get a lot of things coming in. So we're here as a support. We do education sessions. We just did a Q&A session recently, just basically around what do we do if, and any question, however insignificant or silly, nothing silly. So ask us.
Yeah, no, let me explain to our listeners. We have a massive contest book, rule book, which is quite hard for the average person to actually digest. But Liz and her team have to know this inside out, because people like myself will hop on with a message, explain this, explain that. Can we do this? Can we do that? And I'm sure you get the same questions over and over. Would you like to tell us maybe one question that keeps coming up, that when you see it, you go, I've answered this 100 times?
Actually, just recently, because of the rule change around judges in contest, that's been really in the fall for this particular year, where the actual thing is to say, if you are in a competition, for example, a humorous competition, then you cannot judge in the humorous contest for any other club or area or anything. So if you're in it, you can't do the judge role, and it only pertains to the judge's role. So if you're in the humorous competition and you've won at your club level, you could go and help at another club as a timer or a counter, but you cannot judge in the humorous contest. You may judge in the international evaluation or whatever. And that has been an ongoing issue, or an ongoing question, I should say, over this Toastmaster year. So it's in clarity. If you're in the competition, you cannot judge at the same contest type, but you could be at division and be in the international speech contest and then judge the evaluation, because you're not in that one.
Okay, so all those Toastmasters out there, there's the definitive answer from Liz. I know it's a bit late because most of our early contests are over. Now, Liz, tell me a little bit about the international speech, because this is the big one. People spend many years preparing for this. They enter it, they don't get through the first time, they'll come back at the next time. Why is it such a wannabe? Why do people want this? You know, what does it lead to?
I think firstly, when you start doing it and you at club level and you begin to craft your speech, and then you suddenly get into an area level contest and you realize the difference of, you know, the standards go up and up and up. And then eventually at district level, when you're on that stage to deliver a speech of that caliber, it must be such a buzz for somebody. And of course, when you're at your district and you've meet so many people and you're on stage and you're delivering this speech, and the standard can be so tight for the judges, it's unbelievable. And of course, if you are the winner, and then to have an opportunity to be at the regional finals, and then wow, you get through to that international stage. I mean, I've been to an international conference in Nashville, and it was just amazing, the buzz, and to hear those people up on stage. And I was so pleased I wasn't a judge, because they were so good. To improve and to get to that standard for anyone, I can't imagine. I don't speak at that standard, not that I've tried, but do you know what I mean? I think for someone to get there, even to get through to the regional finals, is an achievement.
Yeah. And it is, sorry, go ahead, Liz.
No, you're right. Go on. Yeah.
I was going to say, this is very hardcore stuff. You get people who are on that circuit for many years, and you'll find that somebody wins it. They've actually been through the process numbers of times. It gets in the blood, and it kind of takes over, doesn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, you see them try and try and try again. And of course, once you've won that international crown, you cannot compete again at the international speech contest. So you do see the same people coming back up over and over again, and you see the improvement over the years that they've made, and you just think, yeah, this is very, very, I don't think there's anybody actually won a international speech contest in one run. You know what I mean? Club, area, division, district, region, into international. I don't believe anyone's ever done that. So you see them come back on the international stage again and again, but such a buzz.
Same faces. And somebody, Laraba Selu, has just texted, contests are exciting. Yes, both Liz and myself would be very excited about contests. Liz works in it. I just visit them. Now, Liz, I have a question for you, because you talked about the evaluation contest. And just to explain to sort of our non-Toastmasters listening, evaluation, so you have somebody who gives a test speech, and then you have your top evaluators in the district who come along and evaluate that speech. First of all, how difficult is it to get the test speaker?
Well, always have to. That's all I can say, because I think the higher up you go in the organisation, you have a broader scope to be able to choose someone to test speak. But you really have to be careful that you're not choosing somebody who's well known or who's done lots of speeches around various clubs, because the idea is that the person is supposed to be particularly anonymous to everyone, like the first time you've ever heard this person speak. So it can be very tricky. And one of the things to look at is to make sure that they are at club level. It does matter, but it's an experience, isn't it? And it's a trial, and people try and do their best to get through. But your test speaker, you can still bring somebody in who's an accomplished speaker for the evaluators at club level. But it's interesting. I think at area level, I found it trickier to get a test speaker at area level than I have at my clubs or at division, for some strange reason. And the worst thing that ever happened to me was when my test speaker phoned 2 days before and said, I can't make it. So, it was a bit of a rush around to get another person, but it happened. So always have one in the background.
Just one final comment just on that. I have seen this happen where it's amazing how Toastmasters can pivot at the last moment. I have seen a test speaker being recruited within 24 hours of that contest due to something happening, like the test speaker whose plan didn't show or wasn't coming. But yeah, it's amazing to watch these people just take the stage and pull it together. But Liz, we're out of time. So I'm going to slot you back into the green room, and I'm going to bring Sam in and hear a little bit about her piece at the conference. Sam, welcome back.
Hello.
Yeah, Sam's wonderful. Sam pivoted at the last moment here in Toastmasters Unplugged to interview our lovely conference directors. So she is a pro. Now, Sam, just a little bit of background on yourself. You're a neurodiversity communication specialist. That's your piece when you're not doing Toastmasters. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about that and, sort of an overview of what you do?
Yeah, sure. I started out by helping people communicate better per se. And because I was enjoying learning how to do that myself. And then I discovered I was neurodivergent. So it made sense to be a neurodivergent communication specialist, so I can help both sides understand each other better. So Toastmasters absolutely played a major part in that. I've been able to try out my material in my clubs and beyond. I'm a member of 4 clubs because, I'm like a stick of rock, cut me in half, and there's Toastmasters going around the middle. It just has given me so many opportunities that I might not have had. It helped me to start my own business, and it definitely gave me the courage to follow my passion and my drive and my vision and all that kind of stuff, instead of carrying on working for other people and being downright miserable, if I'm honest. So opening those doors into leadership, working on the leadership team, being area director twice, all sorts of good stuff like that. It's made a significant positive difference to my life. I don't think I'll ever leave. And I love paying it forward and seeing other people benefit in the same way. It's amazing.
It is marvelous, isn't it? Now, Sam, you have a special role at the conference. You're one of the workshops. And I know, tell us a little bit about it. I know it's all about using body language and vocal variety. So tell us a little bit about, without giving too much away, what you're going to be featuring at the workshop.
Absolutely. So when I'm delivering, I'm known to be quite an energetic performer on stage. I don't think I'm ever going to be a newsreader. I can't keep still enough, to be honest. And why would I want to? When I try, my body wants to move anyway. And there's lots of people out there who want to grow their skill set in moving around the stage, using their body, not just where am I going to stand, but also what facial expressions work with this, what gestures can I use, what props can I use to support what I'm delivering. And the vocal variety is so intrinsically tied in to that, in terms of how will I use my voice to really nail home what I'm saying? Is it congruent with what I'm saying? I'll give you one tidbit. It's not too much of a giveaway, but when someone does dialogue and there's 2 voices happening, and sometimes they don't feel courageous enough to try 2 different voices because they perhaps they feel a bit silly doing it, or maybe they've just never tried and they're a bit nervous about it. Maybe they never even thought about it. But as soon as you start playing with just a smidge of drama on the stage, it can really bring it to life and be memorable. And we want to be memorable for all the right reasons, right? Absolutely. So that's what it's going to be about.
That's exciting, because I know I, as a speaker myself, I move around the stage, not purposely, just moving for no reason. So yes, I think I shall be booking a place at your particular workshop, Sam. Now tell me, Sam, when you're doing workshops, I imagine they're going to be this very interactive compared to standing up, as we were talking with Liz, like doing the international speech. What are the different skill sets you need for both types?
Well, the number one skill set is understanding that it's got absolutely nothing to do with me. and it's all about the audience. It's not about being the star of the show. It's about being the facilitator for the audience to get some wonderful, gorgeous nugget out of the masterclass to take away and use. And part of that is not overloading people with information. It's very tempting when you know a lot about something to go, have everything I know on this subject. And it's too much for people to take in. They become overwhelmed. They don't know where to start. They're like, gosh, wow, that was a lot. That was impressive, but I'm never going to remember all that. So the art of refinement, of edit, is in play here. Even though it feels like a long time, 40 minutes for a workshop or a masterclass, I would still encourage people, if they're going to do one, and I would say put yourself forward for one, it's a wonderful experience to do that longer session, is to only pick 3 points to deliver maximum. And then take your time helping to land those 3 points that you want to get across. And then, there's an old adage, isn't there, about tell them what you're going to say, tell them it, and then remind them what you said. So you're sort of saying it 3 times. That model works very, very well when you're teaching people new things that you want them to go away and implement. So that's what I would suggest if anyone was thinking of doing it, to have that very clear structure and don't try to cram too much in.
Yeah, because that's the thing when you see 40 minutes, you'd be saying, ooh, I'm going to give, as you said, I'm going to give you everything I know. But that's a really important learning piece there, that driving home 3 points sounds easy, but I'm sure it's not. So Sam, tell us, what day is your session on and what time?
Oh, it's in the morning, and I can't remember exactly the time, but I'm on at the same time as the district council meeting. So for anybody who doesn't want to come to the district council meeting, they can come and spend time with me instead.
Yeah, the district council meeting for our non-Toastmasters. I think Tanya explained it nicely. It's like the sort of the AGM, very serious, very intensive, lots of Robert's Rules. Isn't that the book they all use? Parliamentary procedures.
Yeah,
so yes, there will be people sneaking off. They're not supposed to. They'll be sneaking off to Sam's workshop. So Sam, listen,
I think it's 11 a.m. I'm on, if that's helpful.
That's brilliant. Listen, best of luck with it. Dying to see it, dying to hear about it afterwards. We might have you back to let us know. So I'm just going to invite everyone on stage for just a few minutes. I'm going to ask our audience that are listening, if you have any questions for any of the team members, to please put it in, whichever you're listening on LinkedIn or YouTube. Please put your questions in the chat. We have access to them in studio. So while we're waiting for some questions to come in from our audience, we're going to have a little panel discussion. And what I'd like to ask you all, we opened with what was your favorite conference memory. I'm going to ask each of you, what was maybe the most embarrassing moment out of the conference for each of you? And I'll start with Liz.
Wow, most embarrassing.
Or even funny.
Funny. Okay. You can tell I'm so keyed up. It's like doing a tabletop thing and you've completely froze on stage.
Don't worry, we'll pass. Have a think about it, Liz. Let me pass that to Tanya.
Right.
There are a lot of moments, because I'm a very clumsy person. I get locked into places I shouldn't be. I go through a door thinking I'm going the right way, end up locked in somewhere. So these things happen a lot to me, which means my level of embarrassment is quite high, to be honest. I think one of the things I don't think most people noticed, but in Norwich, I think, 2019, there's an award that the district director can give out each year, which is the Toastmaster of the Year. Now, this is somebody who's done an amazing job. They've really done something that the district director says, out of everybody, we want to award it to you. I didn't think I was going to get it. So I think I was chatting to Mish, and Red went on stage, as he was the past district director, said all these apparently really lovely things about me. I was kind of zoned off, just like, oh yeah, let's do this. Maybe we trying to convince Mish, let's maybe do a conference. And he was like, Tanya, you're like, what? And everyone's like, go up. You're like, what have I done? And it was a lovely moment once I got up there, but I just kind of assumed there was no way my name would come up. So hopefully no one noticed, but lovely moment in the end.
Yeah, fabulous. Mish, anything that strikes you as maybe funny, embarrassing throughout all the conference experience?
My thing about conferences is I dance on the dance floor and I'm a really bad dancer. So I think every single conference has been embarrassing for my dancing. And it's a girl called Helen. I can't remember what her surname is. And we just look at each other across the room and go, Helen! And we do this stupid dances. And it's like a standing thing. It's embarrassing, but it's fun.
Okay, so if anybody's watching and you're going to be at the conference or you're not, come along and see me dancing.
Embarrassing dancing, yes.
It's not that bad.
And Sam, anything leaping into your head?
It's hard to pick. I've got some very similar stories, I have to say. So I also zoned out when I got Area Director of the Year and didn't realise it was me. I was timing at the back of the room and I was so concentrating on the timing in my papers and stuff. And they were like, go on then. I'm like, what? It was me. So that was very cool. I had a bit of a dancing moment and I was there with my husband, who's not a dancer at all. And he was standing there with his pint and someone took a video of me dancing like a crazy person next to my husband, who was standing there completely still. And he just looked to camera at the right moment and then looked back. And it was like, no! It's very funny. You've got to have a sense of humor about these things, right?
Yeah. You do, you need it. And Liz, did you think of a moment?
No.
It's just trying hard enough, Liz.
I think I just get embroiled in so many things. I don't know. I was around and I'm busy, but I suppose really it's one of the times, you know, you sit chatting to somebody and realise it isn't actually the person who you think it is. And then you go, oh, I'll be back in a minute. Come back.
Or they know your name and you're like, I don't have any idea who you are, so you just do that vague. How's things at your club been going?
Things in your place? And
now, guys,
try and search for the badge.
I have a question from our audience. Elizabeth Jordan has a question. It is, can you tell us a bit about the Anglo-Irish meeting on a Thursday evening? And I'm going to put that to Tanya. Will you tell us what that actually is and what it involves?
Yep, so this is actually a District 71 special. I don't know of any, I assume no other districts doing it because Ireland is only in District 71. So it's like a regular Toastmasters meeting, but it's filled up with people from across Ireland, England, Scotland, even a Welsh person if they happen to have turned up. And the roles are just filled out because I think one of the things we found is our conferences have always started on Friday morning, and half a audience has to travel either to England or to Ireland. So people were turning up on a Thursday night like, okay, we should do something. And I think it might have been Peter Kieran like 20 years ago or something, because he's organised 3 or 4 conferences. 15. He said, why don't we have a Toastmasters meeting and have everybody on that? So we generally tried to have like an English, an Irish and a Scottish speaker, and again somebody from a different culture, evaluating them and just see how different clubs do it in different ways. And really it's just a way to get everybody together doing the thing that they know how to do, which is the Toastmasters meeting. If you can come, it's a fantastic opportunity. We're running ours on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. So it gives you a little bit of time if you are coming off a flight from Ireland or if you've got to drive after work to Solihull. It's been organised by Michael J. Clark this year, who's going to be our Toastmaster of the evening. So you can reach out to myself, reach out to Michael. There's even a little form on the website that says, I would like to take on a role, or you can just turn up and watch.
Can I add one thing? We tried to do it on the Friday morning. We were told you can't do that. It's Irish. We need to have a bar. So
we're still in discussions about that.
Networking and the fun and just getting everyone to meet each other when they haven't arrived fresh for conference.
Very good. Mish, I have a question for you. The keynote speaker, can you tell us who it is this year and just a little bit maybe about them?
Okay, we found it quite difficult to find her at the moment, so we had to pass it on to Nuala O'Connor, who's going to be the...
No, that's for keynote speak.
Oh,
so
keynote speaker.
Francesco for that. Have you heard the expression for Silver Fox? He's such a lovely man. He's attractive, he's gorgeous, but he's from Italy. He's just, I think, Region 10 International Director. He's got a lot of experience, and he's going to give us a lovely speech about... it's in the workshop first. What's his actual workshop title? Sorry, it's hard to know. But
busy ladies.
We have a lot of little details in our heads at the moment.
The DLT is hosting him for the whole weekend, including Thursday night. They've got a few presentations in England and Ireland for best clubs, I think corporate clubs and stuff. So he's got a very, very busy schedule. But he's joining us for the whole weekend, and he'll be very visible. He's going to. What's his title, Tony? Got it.
just to note about all of our workshops, both a workshop bio and a workshop speaker bio. All of that information is on our website, which is solihull2025.co.uk. So
Yes.
as I'm just scrolling now past Sam's one and then Nigel's one, Francesca's should be here any second. Looking for the yellow. So he will be doing a keynote on Volair towards new horizons with Toastmasters, a journey of growth and confidence. It's about overcoming fear, learning to soar, lifelong skills, mentorship, and an invitation to take flight.
Sounds exciting. Book your seats. Now, ladies, before we go, because we're coming to the end now, I'm just going to go around the room with one question, and that is about the upcoming conference, the big event that you're looking forward to in there. So, Sam, starting with you, what's the event you're most excited about?
Oh, well, I don't want this to sound too narcissistic or conceited, but I'm really looking forward to my workshops. Seriously, I so love giving workshops at Toastmaster conferences. I've been so privileged to do it in places like Sweden, all over the place, Ireland, and the reception you get, you've got literally an audience of eager beavers who really want to be there. And as a trainer, which is what I do in my bread and butter day today, having an audience fully committed that want to be there, there's nothing like it. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Absolutely brilliant. If we love what you're doing, it shows and people love it. So wonderful, Sam. I'm looking forward to it too. Tanya, what's going to be hopefully your standout moment for you that you're most looking forward to?
I'm going to have to whittle it down to two specifically. So one is actually another workshop, and this is Rob Partridge's workshop. Sorry, Sam.
Okay.
I do know Sam very well. I've seen most of your workshops and your online stuff and your work. Your online workshops, everything in your TED Talks. But Rob's particular topic is one that I actually requested that he did. It's around special needs, physical needs, mental needs, and how to adapt meetings for that. And that's just an area which I am passionate about. Very similar reason to Sam, but I just don't see very often in a nicely encapsulated Toastmasters version about the meetings. And I have some personal experience from some of our local clubs, but it'd be really good to see. And I think he's going to use quite interactive tools to make people live through the experience of a special need, which sounds really amazing and potentially dangerous, but funny. The other part is the Friday night. So Friday night is always themed. We chose back to school. I love school, I must admit. I know some people hate it, but I loved it. I was a proper little geek. I'm going to wear a little tartan skirt. Well, not little. I'm going to wear a tartan skirt. I was a bit of a gothy teenager as well. So I'll be pulling out my thick eyeliner. And again, like we said with a Saturday night, you just don't get to do it that often.
No, it sounds exciting. Yeah, it's going to be an exciting conference for you, Tanya. And yeah, you need to enjoy it after all that hard work. Mish, what's going to be your one that you're looking most forward to?
This is a strange one. I love the opening ceremony where the English and the Irish get together, and I'm going to have the Irish national anthem phonetically written on the screen so we can all join in, because I love how the Irish really feel it. And I'm Irish myself. I can't join in. I don't know the words. And then hopefully I'm going to get the Irish, I know it's a big hope, to join in with the English national anthem on screen as well. And just the coming together of the two cultures, I think it's wonderful. I'm really looking forward to that so much.
It is lovely. It's great camaraderie. And Liz, your standout moment beside the contests?
Oh, I just feel just catching up with everyone. It sometimes seems an age in between, but it's only been a year. But just seeing everyone and chatting with them and trying to get things organised, but not really because you're too busy chatting. So all of that, hubble and bubble and chatting and catching up. Awesome.
Excellent. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all. Sorry, Tanya, you've one last word.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of the things I found is even though we've had two conferences since COVID, Liverpool was quite small. In Portlaoise, obviously, if you couldn't travel over to there, you weren't able to. I had to miss quite a bit for personal reasons. And it still feels like I want to catch up with everybody since COVID. Like, I don't know how it's been years now, but I still get that feeling. So yeah, anyone who hasn't been to conference since COVID, I'd love to see you again.
Yeah.
How can you resist that? So I want to thank all my wonderful panelists, Sam, Tanya, Nish and Liz, wishing you all the best. You worked really hard. I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful conference, and I'm sure it'll be well attended and some wonderful memories. So I'm going to say good night to everybody. I'm going to play our outro music. Just before that, we are back next week with our episode of Dr. Shirley Gallagher and Nigel Smith, where they sit down and talk about everything to do with sustainability. Have a good night wherever you are, and we look forward to seeing you soon again.
Bye.